In this very lesson, we shall be looking at the next property of operation. Remember, we are still on the real number system and we are on properties of operation. In our previous lesson, we learned about the associative property of addition and the associative property of multiplication. I believe you remember them, you can state them and explain them. In this lesson, we shall be moving on to the next property of operation. Now, when you were in the JHS level, down there, and even at this very level, whenever you are being presented with a question of this form, let's say 2 bracket 3 plus 4. Now, what do you do? How do you go about this question? I believe you are saying that we expand to remove the bracket. Very good. So what we are going to do is that we use the number outside the bracket to multiply the individual terms within the bracket. So we are going to get 2 times what? 3 plus what? 2 times what? 4. This gives us 6 plus what? 8. And then we sum them, giving us what? 14. Very, very easy. Now, the expansion and the removal of the bracket is backed. It is supported by a certain property. And this property that enables us to expand to remove the bracket is called the distributive property. The distributive property. I have been telling my students that any action that we take in mathematics whenever we are performing calculation is either backed by rules, laws, properties, theorems, axioms, and so on. So this property that enables us to expand the bracket to remove it is called the distributive property. And this is the next property of operation that we are going to look at today. Now, under the distributive property, we have 1, so we have the distributive property of multiplication over addition, and then the second one is the distributive property of multiplication over subtraction. Now, this property says that if A, B, and C come from the set of real numbers, then now this is the property. It says that if we are to take 3 numbers from the set of real numbers, then A open bracket B plus C is the same as A multiplying B plus what? A multiplying C. That is, we are going to use what? The number outside the bracket to multiply the individual terms within the bracket. That gives us this. So an example is, from that angle, we can say that 2 and then 3 plus what? 4 is the same as what? 2 times 3 plus 2 times what? 4. So if we are to solve this, we are going to get 2, 3 plus 4 give us what? 7, right? Then we have 2 times 3 will give us 6, 2 times 4 will give us what? 8, 2 times 7 will give us 14, and this is what? 14. So we call this the distributive property of multiplication over addition. So it says that when we are to pick 3 numbers from the set of real numbers and then we perform them using this property, the result or the outcome on the left hand side, will always be equal to the outcome on the right hand side. This is called the distributive property of multiplication over addition. That is what we did here. Now the next one is called the distributive property of multiplication over subtraction. The distributive property of multiplication over subtraction. So it says that if we have to pick real numbers from the set of real numbers, then A open bracket B minus C is the same as what? AB minus what? AC. So when you have, let's say, example, when you have 2 bracket 3 minus 4 is the same as what? 2 times 3, expand the brackets, then 2 times what? 4. So we have 2, 3 minus 4 give us what? Minus 1, right? Good. 2 times 3 will give us 6, minus 2 times 4 will give us what? 8. 2 times minus 1 will give us what? Minus 2. 6 minus 8 will give us what? Minus 2. So this property is called the distributive property of subtraction. So whenever we expand to remove the brackets, the kind of property that will warrant us to do that is called the distributive property. Don't forget about it. Now I'll see you tomorrow on the next property of operation. Bye bye.